Good morning. Short talk in the trailer with the old guy. I thought I'd go in for some weird lighting today to see if it'll make it a little more, interesting to look at. It's early in the morning. I can see the sun outdoors has already lit up the sky. It's just shy of 6 a.m. This is a Tuesday, so I'm going to be getting ready to go to work in a little while. I just thought I'd have a little short talk with you guys today about, the things that are maybe they're on your mind too. That's kind of what I'm thinking is that if this is on my mind this heavy, it might be on the minds of other people too. And I'm looking around at me, and I no longer recognize my world. Whatever I thought the United States was, uh, some sort of constitutional federal republic, representatives such that uh, shall we say, public servants uh, worked for us. It ain't like that. Uh, don't mistake that. You're just gonna get confused. I'm sitting there thinking about what a weird world we have going on right now. I mean, here it is in 2023. I'm gonna call it 16 May. I think that's right because Mom's Day was 14. I remember that. That's right. We're looking at changes in our world that honestly, if you're not scared by it, it's because you don't understand what you're looking at. Uh, and it's not necessarily all bad. It's just that it's all new. It's nothing like the old system. They keep talking, whoever they are, about something called a reset. Reset what? Reset apparently everything. And so there are men in the Roman Church, as an example, who oppose this so-called pope they have, and actually, I've listened to this cardinal guy. He's an interesting guy, solid dude as far as I can tell, and he simply repudiates the pope in Rome. Says, "Hey, you know what? This is an illegal situation we've got here. We've got a so-called president sitting in the United States in the Oval Office. Uh, I don't think he's a president. I think what he is a lifetime felon. Basically, what the Biden mafia was all about was influence peddling and favors, multi million dollar familial favors. So vital contracts end up going certain directions just automatically. So if you don't have to bid on a $340 million grant and your name happens to be Billy Bob Biden, you're probably doing all right. We've got a usurper. I'm squatting, as far as I can tell, down there at 1600 Penn. And as far as I can tell, the stock markets around the world are teetering. In fact, currencies, worldwide currencies, especially the US dollar, are not good. Major players like Saudi Arabia have bailed on the dollar. They're no longer going with that as their reserve currency. And guess what? The Chinese, the Indians, the Brazilians, the Russians, and just about everybody except us has been buying gold like crazy. So when they issue their new cyber dollars, their new digital currencies, they are back to the hilt with gold. You know what the U.S. is back to the hilt with? BS, blather, and double talk. The so-called representatives we have bankrupted the nation. They have gutted the future just simply through this massive, unthinkable debt. I don't know what the current national debt is, but if you ever want to get spooked sometime and just feel creepy, and suppose you had a desire to do that, just look it up. The national debt clock. It's on Google or something, and just watch the numbers go by. It's a runaway. It's a runaway problem. And it's a little bit like runaway. If you have a places on the highway, I see them out here occasionally for a runaway ramp. So you're coming down a long, long hill, and you're in an 18-wheeler, and that bad boy, for some reason, the brakes catastrophically fail. For some reason, you can't downshift, whatever. I don't know why you cannot reduce your speed. Why can't you just turn off the engine? I don't know. But at any rate, it's a runaway ramp. So when a truck begins rolling so fast that it's dangerous because it can no longer be controlled, there's an exit ramp it could take, and it slopes up like a ski jump to help the runaway slow back down. Well, we don't have any ramps. We don't have any off ramps. All we've got is runaways. And whether we're talking about the so-called war in Ukraine that the criminal administration in D.C. is selling, whether we're talking about the so-called U.S. dollar, whether we're talking about this whole idea of a future coming lockdown for, say, virus number 2 or virus number 4 or virus number 27. They're cranking out the viruses. These are not naturally occurring. These are not something that migrated out of one family, say we'll call them pigs or chickens or cows, and somehow humans contracted a viral strain that crossed over it. No, it's not like that at all. They're doing the work in the lab to make them easily transmissible, and not only that, wildly transmissible among humans. They're building this on purpose. It's almost like they kind of want to get rid of people, huh? There's this crazy thing going on right now, which is just another one thing in the basket. Yeah, you can look this stuff. You know, it's like all your life, what have you been told? You've been told, like me, that, well, there's just too darn many people. By golly, we're ruining the planet. We're overwhelming blah, 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 the resources. We're running out of all these things. Running out of, like, say, for instance, running out of wood. Hey, plant some new trees, will you? And so it's like, it's just going to be bad, bad, bad because there's way too many of us. Now, all of a sudden, Elon Musk, I think, maybe I just don't know enough. But in my mind, Elon Musk was the guy who first sounded the alarm on this probably 5 years or more ago. That, hey, no, that's not the problem. The problem is you don't have enough people. Your populations are collapsing, especially you wise, Western, spiritually, eco-friendly, green, politically correct worriers about carbon dioxide. I mean, how stupid can you get to be concerned about carbon dioxide as if it were like the same thing as methane or freon released into the atmosphere, or like something that's going to cause some toxicity like acid rain, you know. They're treating carbon dioxide as if it were a toxin. Yeah, it makes tons of sense. Sure. Say, if you want to plant a greenhouse next year and you want to get some nice tomatoes, how are you going to do it? Pump some carbon dioxide into the greenhouse. They'll do great. They love that stuff. So if you want to kill the plants, reduce the carbon dioxide. And by the way, the amount of carbon dioxide they're talking about is absurd. I mean, 0.0004% or something? I don't know the numbers, but it's like, you know that 1% is 1 out of 100, right? Let's do that. So every time you knock beyond the decimal part for the tenths, there's the hundreds, there's the thousands, I think it's 4 1,000ths of 1%. That's what they're fighting you for. And that's what they are trying to rub out humanity for. There's all kinds of crazy things out there right now. It just seems like we're in a kind of a news storm in my mind. We got Prince Chuck over there in Britain. There's all kinds of speculation that he might be some kind of Antichrist character. It's like, well, that's another weird thing to consider. And, I looked at some of the claims. It's like some of them might be valid. I don't know. I can't tell. But, the whole question of the mark of the animal, the beast, the unhuman. And people are saying, well, is it this and is it that and could it be and whatever? I don't care what it is. Doesn't matter what the tech is. Here's the deal. When any government, I don't care whether state, federal, local, or some kind of new, recently invented international authority, who are these clowns, mandates that you must, you shall, and you ought, and you will have something done to you, whether in your head or in your hand. Well, even if that's not the mark that the Bible speaks of, it's close enough. There's no way that a Bible-believing Christian could walk in the door and say, well, yeah, I buy your argument that, yeah, well, maybe this is a lot like the mark, but it's not the actual mark, not the real deal. Nah, this is way different. Even if it was way different, and it's not, still no good faithful man or woman could accept it willingly, because it's like, no, this is the closest thing in the book of the Revelation to the unforgivable sin. The unforgivable sin, remember, Jesus says, is a blasphemy against the Holy Ghost. And in that context, when he made those remarks, he was saying, essentially, it was a rebuttal to his critics. In other words, here was these guys, professional religious authorities. What are these guys? These are Pharisees. These are Sadducees. These are scribes. These guys are the temple authorities. These guys are hot stuff. And he's dealing with them. And they think he's demonic. They think that he's got some kind of, evil spirit. They say he throws devils out because he's just got bigger devils. That's all. He's demonic, and that's how he casts out demons. And so Jesus is saying, I'm paraphrasing, okay? So Lord, forgive us. But essentially, he's paraphrasing, essentially saying, look, they're stupid, and then they're stupid. You're not allowed to be that stupid. You can't look at a man who has no objectionable features, namely Jesus Christ, I mean. He's walking around town, he's healing people, he's doing good. He's feeding the hungry. He's teaching those who desire teaching. He's leading the minds and hearts of young men and women, old men and women, into a faithfulness toward God. He's doing bounteous things. He walks up. This is great. I love this story. He walks up and just busts up perfectly good funerals. They got the professional mourners and everybody out there crying and wailing and stuff. He goes, hold it, stop. He walks over to the corpse and says, hey, yo, sit up. And just about everybody collectively pees their pants, and the guy sits up. He's out doing stuff like this, and so the experts are saying, well, you're demonic. He's saying that's unforgivable. And I would say, as I said earlier, it's a little riff, it's unforgivably stupid. I'm sorry, you can't be that stupid. You can't be that blind to reality and still claim that you are somehow an agent of righteousness or truth or integrity or anything when you're defying everything that's in front of your face. So it's unforgivably stupid to accuse him, of all persons, really, come on, as if he was demonic. It's unforgivable. That's, now, again, I'm making a riff on it, but my point is that in the book of the Revelation, there's essentially a parody. For anyone who takes that mark upon them, they shall certainly drink of the wrath of God. You don't mess with God and win. You can mess with God every day of the week and lose. But no. In other words, that's unforgivably stupid. Now, how in the world would the idea of taking a mark in your body so that you can go down, to Home Depot and buy a new lawnmower, or go down to the grocery and get some food for your kids, or make the car payment so you can keep going to work tomorrow, whatever. How is it that a financial obligation in a cultural, societal, probably global schema qualifies as the same thing, in a way, as the unforgivable sin? He says they shall certainly. He speaks nowhere in the Revelation text, John, the Lord speaks nowhere in there about, oh, by the way, if you take the mark, I understand. You're under a lot of pressure. Let's face it. That's okay. I forgive it. It just ain't there. It just ain't there. As far as we know, he's saying it's unforgivable. And I would say then maybe it's the same kind of thing. I'm sorry, you're unforgivably stupid. And so what would be unforgivably stupid about taking that thing so you can get back in your bank account? Because remember, you don't have any greenbacks anymore in the future. All you got is these digital dollars. It's all ones and zeros in a server farm somewhere. There's no money. It's just ones and zeros in a server farm. But you still got to eat, right? Your kid still wants to get up in the morning and put on his shoes or her shoes so they can go to school. Well, somebody's got to buy the shoes, right? So at any rate, short version being, there's an unforgivably stupid aspect to this whole idea, this end of the world scenario with the mark, is that I want to say, now I'm not an expert at all. Plus, trust me, I'm not an expert at all on this. Hey, look, I can see my face. And I don't know the answer. But when you have a situation where you've been warned for thousands of years in advance that something like this is coming on, well, theologians of the past thought, well, maybe what it is like a tattoo. You remember the Jews during the Nazi destruction and hatred and their campaign to wipe out Jews. They tattooed them. I believe it was on the right hand. I'm not sure, but each Jew, you lost your name. You're no longer Bob or Bill or Ellen or Charlotte or something. You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. You're just numbers, that's all. And your tattoo number became your number. That became your identity. Well, reject it. Somebody wants to give you a new identity. The only one that you accept a new identity from is your Father, who made you. Anything that a man has to say, or any devil, or any conglomeration of them, all that's irrelevant. It's all garbage. So theologians thought, well, what is the mark? How's it going to work? How could you possibly enforce such a thing? There's a whole thing of counterfeiting, right? If you have a little mark on your hand, well, you could counterfeit it with a Sharpie, couldn't you? Why do you have to have a tattoo? But the idea of the tattoo was not exactly right, except for it being a permanent mark. The closer angle is essentially to think of a wax seal. The emperor puts the mark on there, and maybe it's a lion or a bird or something, I don't know. And with the wax seal on, it is the seal of approval. It is authority as spoken. Well, it's only been in your lifetime and mine, friend, that for the first time since Jesus and the apostles, that a real working technology exists. Now, is this real working tech? People are chipping their dogs. In fact, people are being chipped themselves for, say, security access into a business storefront. For the first time in history, the tech exists to make it happen. Because linked to it, of course, would be a digital oversight. None of that was imaginable to the first century believer. It's going to be a little bit difficult for John the Revelator to start talking about, you know, quantum logic and supercomputers and, the World Wide Web as being part of the end. But I don't see any other tech out there where you could essentially guarantee, if you're, let's say, a poodle or a Xi, or you're a Putin, or you're a head of any huge WEF thing, whatever. If you're a head of something like that and you want to guarantee that people follow the rules, well, you have to link it back to a digital currency. You have to essentially get around the idea of barter. You have to make it impossible to find bread without going through the data net. That means home farming goes away. That means small farmers disappear. That means that people growing vegetables in their backyard is discouraged, probably dangerous. There's probably toxins in there. Whatever, they'll say anything they need to. But the point is, we have the tech. We're living in the time, man. I don't know what it is, but it's scary and it's exciting. But the thing is that I just want to pass this on to you. The Lord wants us to be courageous because He's courageous. Well, He's the one who faced down all of the hatred of man and the devil and even the rejection of the Father Almighty. Father Almighty turned His back on Him and said, I don't know you, when He became essentially sin on our behalf. God is not going to look at that. He doesn't tolerate it. He rejected His own Son. And it's because of that and all of the wonders that go with that there's hope for people like you and me. So He's stronger than the world economic somebodies. He's stronger than the global alliances. He's stronger than the threat of AI. He's stronger than by the way, if we forgot, the aliens are coming. Oh my gosh. Aliens. They're not aliens. They're devils. They're devils. Old Testament devils. Same people. Well, not people, really. Ugh. They're sort of like unpeople. Ugh. Anyway, the point is that a lot of big stuff brewing. We're talking maybe, World War III? Yeah, just like in your spare time, maybe. And all of these weird ideas that are being dusted up and bandied about here and there. And I'm just looking at all this and I'm thinking, man, the world I knew is just gone. The world where you get up in the morning, you go to work, you pay your bills. You know that the government will basically leave you alone because it's in their best interest to leave you alone. Because as much as they care to interfere, meddle, twist, and distort things, they reduce productivity. As they reduce productivity, their income goes down. They lose money. The government does, by making you inefficient, handicapped, and saddled by absurd regulations and garbage and who knows what. Kind of these, remember all the things during the episode involving the little flyers, the little remember, the friend of Robin? And I never did like those guys. It was such a creepy show back in the 60s. You should go back and look at some of those old TV shows. I was looking at that as a kid. I was going, ugh, there's something wrong with this. But anyway, the point is that way back then, all the lies and just the raft of garbage that came out suggesting that anybody in the world is just automatically endangered by this thing. Everybody is. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. As if everybody was in exactly the same sad state of physical disrepair. Everybody's a potential victim. And this is the same pattern that was sold in the 80s with the AIDS virus by the same guy. As a matter of fact, he had the same strategy back then. He was essentially saying that acquired immunity deficiency can happen to anybody. That's what he was selling back then, and tried to freak out people and scare anybody. Never mind. Never mind. Let's not even think about how it actually transmits through intravenous natal use and male homosexual unlawful behavior. That's the large transmission. That's the main freeway where 97% of the traffic is, right? And they're doing it again. It's the same guy. He's a criminal. In between 19 and 21, his bank account boosted up over 5 megabucks. Did yours? I don't think so. And what did he do? Wasn't he supposed to be a public servant on the federal payroll? How did he get 5 megabucks out of the feds? Oh, it was just favors by friends. Favors by friends. Pathetic, disgusting traitors. They're traitors. This cannot end well unless the Lord comes and unless the Lord stirs his people up to be faithful, to call out sin, and to demand justice, to demand that the evil and the vile, those who have lied to us for years and are still lying for profit and influence, that they pay. We want justice. I want justice for these criminals, that squatter that we talked about earlier. Start with him. Take out Nancy. Bye, Nancy. Bye, Chucky. And all those, But it isn't going to happen. Let's face it. That would be a religious revival at such levels as to be unprecedented. These crooked, four-letter word, persons, so to speak, will get away with it, but not for long. The living God hasn't stepped into the ring yet. And when he does, the equation flips. He maintains the right. He loves justice. And he will not abide by the evil. Our hope hasn't changed. In fact, our hope lives. Our hope is Christ who has risen. Christ who has ascended. He is coming. When he comes, we shall be made like he is. This is what the apostle teaches. This is our Christian hope. That he shall conform us to his image. He'll make us like him. Righteous, true, everlasting, and glad in his presence. So buck up. It doesn't matter what the liars say. It doesn't matter what the fools say. It doesn't matter what the perverts say. Jesus wins every time. And he wins by winning your heart and moving out from there. And you're actually, as a Christian, you're a light on a hill. You're the best thing about this world. Don't you forget it. God love you. You have a good day.